that can only mean one thing. I'm heading on location, and as you can see, I've got the sun over there on the right side because I'm completely cast in shadow. So yeah, I've been cooped up in my apartment for some weeks, and I'm going a little bit stir crazy, and I've had an epiphany. I kind of been watching a lot of YouTube videos, different photographers that I really like, and getting a lot of inspiration. And a lot of those videos are in incredible locations, national parks in the US, different locations in Canada, incredible light, incredible weather, really big vista photography. And here I am in the Kingdom of Belgium, a relatively flat landscape, not a lot going on. And so at the end of the day, I can only shoot what's on my doorstep. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to a location. It's a photograph I don't have, but it's a very well-known location. And for me, it's a little bit different. So yeah, I thought I'd make a video. So it's a landscape. Yeah, welcome to Dinant. That's the citadel, and that's a 16th century church, cathedral, and there's a big rock behind it, and the river in front of it is the Meuse River. Yeah, and then the Dutch built the garrison on the top of the rock. So thanks to the Dutch. Nice to know they're looking out for us in Belgium. My position of placement caught just enough wind to create noise on the audio track for this video. So what I'm explaining here at back of the camera is that I first put the camera in the 65-24 format, hoping to get a panoramic shot. But even with the 32-64mm lens at its widest focal length of 32mm, it wasn't wide enough to actually get the whole subject into that panoramic format. What I actually did was then move the format into 3x2, and you can see that I have the entire scene. So I actually decided that I was going to create a panoramic image by stitching a series of shots in portrait orientation with the camera. There's quite a lot of traffic the other side of the bank of the river. There's actually two roads. There's one right next to the riverside and then one slightly behind it. So I'm just waiting. I've basically got my settings f40. Push the ISO right down to 50 because we've got I love the fact that we've got this clear blue sky. The sun is behind me, so we've got a nice shadow on the rock face of the citadel spire, and you've even got enough wind a little bit at the top, and the Belgian flag is flying. So yeah, traffic's gone. 2-second timer. Here you can see the 3x2 format image. It's okay, but not what I was hoping for. Sometimes it's the small details that really make all the difference, and for me what I didn't like in this image was the rippling effect that was created on the river from the wind. I decided to try the multi-image panoramic, so I put the camera in portrait orientation and then took a series of 4 shots. I then stitched these together in Lightroom. This gave me a much wider format that I was looking for. However, those ripples on the river were really still bugging me. I was a bit outside my comfort zone. I'm more used to being in nature in the wilderness, where there are fewer photographers and almost no Instagrammers. So sorry, there's a lot of noise in the background, but one of the unfortunate things was I was hoping that there wasn't going to be much wind to try and get reflection, because we've got such amazing light today, but there's a ripple on the water, so you can't really get much of a reflection. But maybe try that again. It's unbelievable here. So yeah, I was saying that I didn't think there was much wind when I came down here, but actually there is just enough to create a ripple on the surface of the river, and so there's not really that glassy reflection that I was kind of hoping for. The light's amazing, so really should be ideal for reflection. I might crack the filters out, I'm kind of hesitating about that, but I'll take a couple more shots just to see whether there's a little bit more of that ambience coming through on the reflection. But yeah, I think I'm going to head down a little bit farther because there's another sort of kind of composition I want to get where I get the whole bridge in.
As I wasn't satisfied with the results that I was getting, I decided to try my Lee filters. With such great light and relatively high contrast in the scene, you may wonder why I would be using filters.
Circular polarizer give me a bit more pop in the sky. I actually put a 10-stop Lee filter on. It's kind of a radical move, I think. But yeah, 30 seconds. Let's see if I can smooth the river out in front of the subject. Try and create a little bit more feel in the image. You never know.
In using the 10-stop ND, I wasn't expecting to get a pure silky look on the water, but it did render a much more pleasing aesthetic. The ripples were gone, and for me, I'd actually removed the distraction in the final image.
So I have moved, God it's cold, I've moved probably 100 metres from where I was. There's a lot of people up there, and I'm not a big fan of talking to a video camera in front of other people. But anyway, this is actually the angle that I'd kind of seen other images of. This is a very popular location, it's a very popular image. There's nothing really unique about it, but I will always maintain, a lot of people say, well, why don't you go to other places where people haven't taken photos? If I don't have the photo, I'm going to take the photo if I want to have the photo, and this is a photo I want to have. It's actually a really amazing location. So yeah, I've come down, there's actually just a dock, a couple of boats here, and I think I can probably get the panoramic from this angle, although I'm going to have to sort of do a little bit of tweaking in Lightroom again, because just the top of that fort on the cliff is cut out in the 65 by 24 format. So what's great about the Fuji is it actually takes the full image, so I'll just basically kind of make it slightly wider in terms of the height in the format, and maybe just kind of crop it in the width a little bit, so it won't be, well, maybe the 16 by 17 crop in Lightroom will work, but we'll see. But yeah, there's quite a lot of light coming, so I'm going to do one kind of image at what I would say are normal settings, and then I'm going to stick the Lee big stopper on again, just to see if I can ghost that traffic. And yeah, because there's still a lot of traffic. I mean, it's kind of afternoon time here in Belgium, and yeah, a lot of people about. So this is the angle that I'm currently looking at. You can see you've got the rocky cliff face here, and the buildings along the riverfront. You've got the bridge, you've got the citadel, and you can see that I've cut the top off, which I'll kind of manipulate in Lightroom to make sure the format's okay. So I've gone wider than it's needed. There's a little bit of clutter here in the bottom right. Yeah, good contrast. That shadow's still on the citadel is still on the rock behind, which looks really nice. And still a lot of traffic, so I'm going to take this image now on a 2-second timer. I'm at ISO 50, f16, and then I'm going to put the filters on and see what I can get. Okay, so I've stopped down to f9 for this one. I've got a 30-second shutter speed, so it's going to be quite long. We'll see what it gives. There's less traffic right now, so if anything does come through it should ghost and hopefully we won't see it. And I was getting some harsh reflections kind of to my left side here on the water because the sun is just over there, and yeah, it was creating big white splodges on the image, so I kind of want to get rid of that. Crumbs, there's a lot of noise today. I've got the Belgium Air Force overhead.
Moving location enabled me to get a different perspective on the scene. Would I have liked some clouds in the sky? Yeah, for sure. Having a blue sky is far from ideal in a landscape image, but it does actually complement those colourful buildings in the scene, so overall I actually think this image works.
So one of the things I really love about this Fuji is the versatility in formats. So this is 7x6 and this works really well. So I think I'm going to leave that as the last shot of my day. I need to remember my photography gloves for the next outing. It's freezing.
At this point I was actually happiest with this 7x6 format, which wasn't really what I was hoping for. I had an expectation that I wanted to come away from this location with a really nice panoramic. Stay to the end of the video and see what happens.
So I think I'm going to call it a day. I've had good light. I'd like to stick around for a blue hour, but yeah, can't actually do that. I've got to get back. But it gives me a good excuse to come back another day. What's good is now I know actually in the afternoon the light is behind me, it illuminates the subject. So another day like this where it's very, very clear and the light goes down, I'm actually very keen to come back and get a shot in ambient light and hopefully get a little bit of the bridge illuminated and so on. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video and see you at the next one.
In that previous video clip you will have seen behind me there's a road which runs parallel to the river. Well, in order to leave I had to take that road and drive down it. As I drove down that road, the scene was behind me and I glanced in my rear view mirrors. The sun was much lower in the sky and I decided to stop and take a look. Sure enough, when I took a look, the angle of view was better, as was the light. So I got the camera out and took one final image, which for me was the best image of the day. Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate that you give it a like and a comment, and be sure to subscribe to my channel, and that way you're notified of my future videos. Thanks and see you at the next one.